Two guys on a mission to provoke you to greatness.
We're tackling tough subjects and sharing real-life experiences.
No holds barred. We've fought for our family's freedom and want to help you achieve the same.
If you want to live a life you've never lived,
you have to do things you've never done.
Let the story begin. Are we live?
Good. Yeah.
What's up, Nikki?
This is good morning, not good evening.
Good morning. Yes, I had some traveling to do last night, so that's why we're live today. And the podcast will be uploaded to Spotify within the next couple hours. So if you're joining us today, guys, make sure you give us a hashtag in the comments, hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, make sure you give a hashtag replay. And the reason for that is because it keeps the algorithm boosting this so that we get more exposure and people hear our crazy conversations, our nonsense, our shenanigans. So we started talking earlier before we went live, and I said, wait a second, stop. Let's just go live and talk because I want to hear how your week was. What's going on with you in the world of Nikki in good old Connecticut?
Had a good week. Actually, I have some pretty cool news to share. I'm pretty excited about a few things. Not even pretty excited. I'm pretty jazzed up, bro. And you guys will notice I'm just moving around a little bit today. I'm outside. It's a beautiful day. It's Juneteenth.
No, yesterday was Juneteenth, bro.
Oh, yesterday was Juneteenth, but we're celebrating today, I guess.
Oh.
I'm not really sure what that is. That could become a very political conversation. Yeah. I will say this, though. If we would have had the conversation prior to COVID, I think that there would have been much more understanding from individuals and people, because it would have been an organic conversation and not a forced conversation. Because what it is memorializing, right, was indeed a tragic happening that should have never have taken place.
Absolutely.
Right? It should have never have happened, because that is not it's not something that we support, right?
Oh, for sure.
There's no way. I want everybody to understand that there is no tolerance in our lives for racism.
100%.
No tolerance in our lives for racism. There should be no reason why anybody, look, the palm of my hand is the same color as everybody's palm. And the blood in my veins bleeds red. So that I think is a very important thing to make as a statement.
It's interesting. I was traveling to Dallas this last couple of days, and I went to church with Jesse and Cindy, my coaches, and the pastor was talking about if you unzipper this outer shell and turn us inside out, we're all the same. All the same. Bleed red, and it's a beautiful thing, and that's God's original intent.
He died for everyone.
All man to be created equal. Right. And Abraham Lincoln said the same thing. All man. He stood against that in the very, very beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Constitution was built on that freedom.
This is where the controversy comes in.
Of course.
The controversy is it's being pushed on people now because of a movement that took place. And those people and all of the people that are promoting it and us have nothing to do with that. We are not those people. We don't condemn people. You can't find, I don't believe that you and I look at people any differently at all because of their skin color.
100%.
I could say that emphatically. Myself and Mark, we don't look at you and say, oh, look at their skin. They're yellow or brown or red or whatever. And that changes our view of that person. That's not how it works.
Yeah, and we teach our kids the same thing, So it starts with the family. Remember, we talked about the breaking down of the family,
Yep.
right? And the dividing lines. The culture right now we live in wants very distinct lines,
Correct.
so that they can divide us. And the more that they divide us, the more that they can control us.
That's right.
Whether
It's divide and conquer.
political, whether it's racial, whether it's religious, whether it's gender, no matter what it is, if they can divide us,
Yep.
they can control us.
Yep.
And so when we come together as a unit, there's no more control.
100%.
Because we as a collective are the majority. And
Yes.
they, the extreme right or the extreme left, or the extreme government, right?
Extreme. Let's talk about extreme. You and I were in India. We took a car to the furthest point we could, and then we had to walk into the slums.
Yeah.
If you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Then we were on stage. Here's the extremist. We're getting to the extremist part. There are extremists that are in India that believe this is how it has to be. This is how you have to live. You
the
can't.
Caste system.
Right. And we were on the stage talking about Christ to the people. And we said to one of the pastors there, that man leaning against the pole with no emotion was an instigator. He said to us, I don't know if you remember this. He said to us, if he leaves, tell me right away, immediately. And the man left. And do you remember what happened?
They rushed us off stage.
They rushed us off stage into the cars, and our cars got surrounded in like a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
Because the extremists were on their way, and they were coming, and and we had to get out of there.
Yeah. And it's that way in any culture, culture across the world. There's a small group of radicals that will go and start to stir up the nest and stir up the community and rattle them so that they'll start to turn on their own people.
That's right.
And so that's in the white community, the black community, the Spanish community, the Indian community. It's in every community.
Yeah.
Right. There's a small group of rebels, a small group of extremists that always go in and try to stir up the nest so that people get agitated and irritated.
When Christ was walking on the earth, the zealots.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So
in light of that, we celebrate and honor our brothers and sisters who have been mistreated, and but yesterday was also Father's Day too.
It was Father's Day. How was your Father's Day, brother?
It was good. I traveled yesterday, but when I got home, it was good to see my kids. I got home a little late, but I went and kissed them and hugged them all and woke them up.
Your kids are up late.
Yeah, well, the boys were up late. And then I had some food and just it was good. It was good. But we're gonna celebrate today.
Time with family. We just chilled.
I was in business all weekend. So I had a business trip to Dallas. Went and had some elite Fast Start called Fast Start. It's called Fast Start School in Dallas. Yeah, and it's training from 6 and 7 figure earners on how to run and scale a successful business and agency, and how to serve the community properly. And it was intense training. It was
so outside
4 or 5 hours long. It was cool.
Outside of the training, you said that you spent some time in a close huddle, right?
Oh yeah.
Give us a couple nuggets from that close huddle.
Yeah, I can't give too many nuggets because it's for qualifiers only. But listen, when you get an opportunity to spend time and rub shoulders with anybody that's more successful than you, that's wealthier than you, that has just a higher standard of living and can have a more exposure and more reach in their network, God, by all means, you guys got to do it. Dive into it. If you get invited somewhere to spend time with somebody that's at the level that you hope one day to achieve, but do it. And so me and my coach, Jesse and Cindy, and one other couple, were able to spend some time at our 7-figure mentor, Matt and Sheena Sapala, their estate in Dallas. And we just sat, we talked, we went out to the back porch. It It wasn't structured. It was a casual conversation, but sometimes those casual conversations are powerful. They're life-changing.
Yeah.
So we talked about ethics in business. We talked about how to raise your family properly. We talked about work life, family integration, right? We call it integration rather than balance because nothing's really balanced. You just integrate it, right? You just work it out.
I like that.
You just work it out. So we talked about that. We talked about some very, very successful wealth habits that the 1% have been using for decades to get them, to get them to achieve that certain level of success that they've achieved. And it's funny because Pat David just posted, if you think billionaires are evil, because there's this idea out there, this stigma, if you may, that billionaires are evil, that millionaires are evil.
Not
well,
true.
Why? Because you think money is evil, or because you think
right.
money makes them evil?
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
At the end of the day, money's just a tool. It's an amoral tool. It doesn't have good or bad. It's a tool. So it will magnify what's already in you. So we talked about tips and wealth hacks, and we talked about credit in business. We talked about how to set up your business correct. It was just those type of conversations will take you from here to here in a matter of an hour, just sitting with those types of people, because the conversations are deeper. They're more impactful. We didn't talk about, I put a quote up the other day from Eleanor Roosevelt. Do you remember what I said?
Read that. No, but I read it. I remember.
But yeah, and you've had experiences in the past sitting with high level people. That's part of your thing as Nikki. Nikki just gets into those networks somehow, some way. He's always sitting with the the very, very elite, successful people. How do you? What's your experience been sitting with that group of people?
I was gonna actually. So can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what I was gonna actually bring up was the fact that these people are not evil, right? There are evil people in the world, sure, and there are some wealthy people that are evil, sure, but you can't make a blanket statement like that, right? There's no blanket statement that says all of these people that have all of this money have this evil motivation, right? In fact, most of the people that I've sat with are very giving, very loving. They want the best for the people around them. They create an environment around them that allows people to succeed. Now, I will say, do most of the people that have a lot of wealth want people to be at their level? I haven't met a lot of people that have had the billions that want people to have billions. So I will make that statement. There are a handful of people that want you to level up, that want you to attain the things that they have. There is a group of people that have a lot of money that enjoy the being, in that close-knit group, right? But,
yeah, absolutely.
But they definitely roll out the welcome mat. They care about people. They, listen, there are a lot of people with a lot of money that have a lot of giving. They're very much into giving back to the world and to society. And, I'll tell you, spending time with high net worth individuals, you start to see the level of kindness that you need to be at in order to attain those things. You start to see the level of attention that needs to be given to things in order to get to that place. You also learn that those people with all that money are very attentive to everything they do with their money. They're not just running around dumping money into, let's buy 10 yachts and 5 houses, and they don't work that way.
It's actually the opposite. Yeah.
There's one gentleman that I have the definite honor of knowing, who wears, LL Bean clothing. And sometimes his shirt is hanging out of his belt. And, drives a normal vehicle that's not like a S580 or whatever the next hot thing is.
Yeah.
I actually said I was hanging out with this guy just the other day. He's a wealthy individual, and he asked me how much his car was worth, and I said, I don't know, 150,000. He said, nope, I've owned it for 7 years. It's 20 grand.
That's great. Yeah.
It's just people make things up in their head, bro.
I found that the wealthier you are, the more down to earth you are.
Sure.
That's been my experience. For instance, I've met Ray Dalio. I know you've met Ray Dalio as well. I used to work at his firm as a security guard. I had interaction with him. Like, think about this for a second. A security guard, right? At Bridgewater, Bridgewater hedge fund, one of the wealthiest hedge funds in America. I was at the lowest level of that business, right? As a security guard, right? He didn't have to pay me any mind. He didn't have to pay me any mind.
Right.
But when he walked past me, he stopped. He looked me in the eyes. He put out his hand, shook his hand, said, "Hey, Mark, how you doing today? How's everything going?" Like, I was his best friend,
Yeah, right.
He didn't have to do that. So that's been my experience, right? So I think although there are people that, could do the wrong thing with money, I think the wealthier you are, the more you down to earth you can be. And I think there's a big potential. And that, again, that's at least my experience. I know you've sat with some uber wealthy people, and that's been your experience as well. And so I think that, that stigma needs to be broken. But this was the quote that I put in one of my posts on Facebook.
Eleanor.
By the way, I'm banned from Facebook for 24 hours.
Why?
I'll get into that in a minute. Small minds discuss people. Average minds discuss events. Great minds discuss ideas.
Yes.
And so when I was
remember reading that.
Yeah, so when I was sitting with Matt and Sheena and Jesse and Cindy, we just talked about ideas, about how to improve these different systems and how to bring the company to a different level. And we talked about ideas to inspire each other, to level each other up, to motivate each other, to get us to a different mindset. And that in and of itself was just super, super powerful, super powerful. And then back to the quote that Patrick Bet-David put down. He just put a post on Facebook. You guys go check it out. But he dropped a post about billionaires. He said everybody thinks billionaires are super evil. And then he goes and leaves statistics. I don't even know where it is right now, but he gives statistics about Jeff Bezos. How many jobs has he created? Elon Musk, how many jobs has he created? Warren Buffett, how many jobs have they created, right? So you think they're evil, but they're actually helping us in our economy with job creation and feeding people's families. There's a lot of people that depend on wealthy people.
Let me add to that. And we don't think about what they had to do. We don't know
to get
prior
there.
To the wealth. We don't know what they went through to get to that place. We don't know that. We don't sit and think about it. We don't have those conversations. We look at them and say, oh, that's what he has, and this is what he's doing, and oh, look at this. But we never think about the toil and the trials and the tribulations and the failures and the successes and the failures and the successes to get to that place.
So true. And most millionaires and billionaires right now were not handed down. They weren't handed down their wealth.
It's not old money. It's not old money.
First generation. There are some older generations where it was passed down, like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and stuff like that. But there's a lot of first generation millionaire and billionaires right now while we're still alive. There's a lot of first generation, which means they came from living out of their car and they built their way up. Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe the next couple generations in their family will be passed down wealth.
We
But
hope.
these guys that we're currently living with on Earth right now, there's a lot of first time millionaires and billionaires.
And we saw that, people, the families like the Rockefellers and those people, there's a lot of those kids that just squandered that money and didn't know how to continue, right?
Exactly.
So it's very important for us not to just leave an inheritance to our children's children and to build generational wealth, but it's very important that we teach them how to work.
Yes.
They need to know that work is important. You can't just inherit the money and just be.
Yeah. And so I'm in the generational wealth creating business, right? I'm in the financial services industry. We educate families on the value and the benefits of life insurance, but also how to create generational wealth with life insurance, right? And how to leave an inheritance for your children when you pass away.
Yep.
And one of the most widely commented comments that people leave is, why do I want to leave my kid anything so that they'll be, they'll depend on me for all that money and they won't work, or they won't,
they don't understand
to society. And I think that's a broken way of thinking about it. I think
it's a broken way.
Because you never got anything as a kid. Now you don't want your kids to get anything. I think that's a little selfish, right?
Sure.
If we have the opportunity to set up an estate or set up a trust to leave our kids or our grandkids, by all means, why not do it? And think about it this way. If we're still instilling those morals, those values, those principles in them now, so I challenge those people that say, I'm not going to leave anything to my kids. They're going to have to work for everything.
That's right.
Well, are you teaching your kids responsibility now? Because if you are, then when they do receive a large payout, they're going to know exactly what to do with it. They're not going to just be slumdog millionaires living on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to instill those principles now. So my challenge is, make sure you're teaching your kids how to work now. Give them good responsibility, work ethics, morals, values, principles now, and leave them an inheritance. They're going to be so far ahead of the game.
Yes.
Right? And most likely when you pass away, your kids are going to be a lot older too. It's not like they're going to be, in some cases they may be young, but in the majority of cases, your kids are going to be, they'll probably have their own family and their own kids by the time you pass away. So why not leave them something where they can have a little more breathing room? I just think that's a selfish way of thinking about it. And I believe you just passed a very important test recently.
Oh, well, we're not going to tell everybody what it is yet, but we are going to tell you that. So I spent last week disconnected. I was studying. I took a test. That's going to be told. The story will be told shortly. I'm not going to tell the whole story right now.
Just say this: it's another tool in your tool belt.
It is, and they gave me 2 hours to take the test. This is so funny. They gave me 2 hours to take the test. I took the test in 22 minutes.
Bro, I can't get over that. I can't get over that, man.
This is crazy. This is crazy. It was I think 60 and 35 questions. 60 questions in one section and another 35 or 40 questions in the second section, right? They gave me 2 hours to take it. I literally hit end session, end test, finished. And the screen went blue and it didn't tell me if I passed or failed. And I sat there because you're supposed to sit there. There's a proctor watching you with cameras through the glass. They're watching. I'm sitting there. I'm waiting. I'm literally waiting. 2 minutes goes by. Nobody comes to retrieve me. So I turn around and I wave at her. I go, hi. And she looks at me and she goes like this. And I went, yeah, come here. So she comes in and she goes, what's the problem? I said, there's no problem. I said, I finished the test. She said, what?
22 minutes. That test usually takes over an hour to finish. Not gonna
22
lie.
minutes. So, and then I walked out and the lady goes, you passed. And I said, I knew it.
Hey, man, that's what happens when you're well prepared, man. You studied hard and you did a good job preparing for that sucker.
Yeah, it was
So,
pretty exciting. Not pretty exciting. It's very exciting. I'm very excited to start to unfold, unwrap, and peel back the onion and start to roll. Like you said, it's another tool in my tool belt, and it's going to be a blessing to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's going to give you access to a lot of people as well.
Sure
right?
thing.
And so I think access to people is super important. Networking, super important. Building your network, building your tribe, building your community is super, super, super important.
Yes.
Because there's one person can change the rest of your life. One conversation, one thought can change the direction of your entire life.
That's right.
And I think that's super important. So as we build our communities,
I do have some more news to share.
Let's go.
As you know, we've been working on some projects in the film industry.
Yes. Give us an update.
Yeah, this is really exciting, bro. We just got approved by Start Engine to raise funds through Start Engine, which is Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. That's his business.
Nice.
That's one of his companies that he's invested in. And we were with another company. We weren't really sure if we were supposed to be with them. We didn't quite feel like it was the right fit. And Start Engine had passed us up. They had passed up our application. But when they saw that we were getting all these pledges and all the funds coming into this other company, they said, "Oh, let's give you a second look."
Interesting.
And so we're going to start rolling with them. But we have a meeting this week with a gentleman by the name of David Smallbone. I don't know if you know who he is, but they are of King and Country.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And we're very excited about that as well.
That's awesome.
Because they do, one of the guys does act, and of course they make music, right?
Yeah. So potential opportunity for them to make music for the movie as well.
Yep. And also for the son to maybe be a lead role or maybe a supporting role.
That's awesome.
In the film. So we are on our way to we have a couple of things that are in film festivals right now. We have some screenplays that are out and about in the circuit. We're working on an epic that I can't really talk too much about, but it's going to be exciting. So
awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's super cool, guys. If you haven't checked out our last episode, we had Kevin O'Brien, right? Kevin O'Brien on the podcast. He's one of the producers of the film Blue Jacket. Definitely go ahead and check that out. And we showed the trailer and we gave you links to go through and all that good stuff. Definitely check it out and support that film, guys. It's going to be an impactful film. It's going to change a lot of lives. So highly encourage you to do that as well. There's also a way to support this podcast if you get value from it, if you enjoy the nonsense that we talk about and just, the real life conversations that we have. There's a little link down there that goes straight to anchor.fm. And if you want to support the podcast, you can go ahead and give a one-time or a monthly donation to that as well. Also, Nikki's phone is on his last leg. Please, dear Lord, help him. It was flipping through apps and doing its own thing this morning. So we were a little nervous we weren't going to last through this podcast, but it seemed to be doing all right, right?
It hasn't glitched. Thank God.
Hasn't glitched. All right. So let's say a prayer and a few Hail Marys for Nikki's phone, please.
It's all coming together.
If you want to support him, reach out to him on Facebook or Instagram.
Oh, Facebook. Let's talk about that there, Marcus.
Oh, yes. I'm banned on Facebook for 24 hours because Facebook is just ridiculous when it comes to filtering comments. So I had replied to one of my commenters. She said, "I'm looking for a financial advisor." I said, "I'm not a financial advisor, but I meant to say point you in the right direction, but autocorrect said punch you in the right direction." And so it said, I'm not a financial advisor, but I can punch you in the right direction. And immediately I got a notification saying your account has been restricted due to bullying. Bullying and harassment or some crazy bullcrap like
Do
that.
you know
I
that
tried to respond to it. They wouldn't even let me appeal the dang thing.
Do you know that I have on my account, I have a warning. They didn't knock me off yet, but I have a warning. And they said, if you do it one more time, we're going to ban you. Do you know what it was for?
No.
It was because I told you one day I was going to punch you in the sack.
Bro, are you serious? Oh my gosh, bro. Well, I had a warning. I had a warning too. And the warning was because one of my buddies posted a picture of two really, really out in the country looking hillbillies, country folk. Just
Yep.
one was a woman and she was sitting on a guy's lap, but the guy had a long mullet.
Yeah.
And she was pointing at him like she was upset at him. And he said, "Caption this." And I captioned it. I was just being silly. And I captioned it, "I'll kill you if you cut your mullet off." And bang, I got a warning right there, and they said, "You're on your last leg." So listen, guys, don't say anything sarcastic on Facebook because
Don't be
they do
violent.
not like it. They do not like it. So as a matter of fact, this podcast isn't even going live on Facebook right now because I'm not able to put any type of posts on Facebook. So guys, if you're watching this on Facebook, now my account has probably been restored, but you're going to be able to see this on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook eventually, and on our YouTube. And then we're going to upload this to Spotify. But yeah, man, that's crazy. So what are some closing words, Nick? And then we'll pray it out.
Keep your eyes open for opportunity. Make sure that you're not closing yourself off because of poverty mentality. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that mentality, some kind of poor thinking, make sure that you're spending the time with the right people to level up. Make sure you're reading the right books to level up.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're searching for those people so that you could learn to level up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So don't close down because society says this and says that. They don't exist. They, quote unquote, the they, who are they? Okay. Don't be a part of the they. All right.
Yeah. The they is probably a very, very small minority.
Yeah. Don't be a part of the they.
And be careful what your friends say around you. Be careful who you're surrounding yourself with.
That's right.
Because you will be pulled down and pulled into other directions. If you were trying to move forward, your friends and family may be the ones pulling you back. Listen, sometimes you may have to sever connections and love them from a distance.
That's right.
So
that's it.
Thank you for joining us, guys. Nikki, close us out.
All right. Father, we thank you so much. I am going to pray for the fathers for yesterday, as it was Father's Day. Thank you so much for the dads, for the fathers that are present, God. I thank you so much that you have given them the opportunity to steward over children and a family. And Father, I thank you that you continue to give them grace and bless their lives, God. I thank you so much for where you are heading, where you're leading us, where you are bringing us, God, as heads of the house. And Father, I thank you for your love. It is absolutely unconditional. We thank you so much that you care for, you see us, that you over us, that you take care of all of the little things, God. It's not even about the big things, God. We thank you that you take care of the little things, God. Thank you so much, Father, for your blessing and favor in our life. Thank you for divine health in our lives, God. Thank you that you take care of our families, God. Thank you so much for our listeners, Father, all of them, every one of them listening, God. I thank you that you would reach into their room, where they're sitting, where they're standing, where they're driving, where they are, that you would just surround them with your peace during this time. We bless you. We bless them. In Jesus' name, amen.
This is Mark here. Thanks so much for joining us on this last podcast. We really, truly appreciate your support. We definitely could not do this without you. If you can take just a brief second and click that share button, share this podcast to your social media, get this message out to more people so that there's a greater impact on our community. And for those of you who want to give a little extra support, leave a review on Spotify, Apple Music, or Google Podcast. Thanks so much. God bless, and we'll see you in